Okay, good evening and welcome everybody to Wedmore Parish Council meeting on the Wednesday the 16th of October 2019. Please be aware everyone that we are recording. Any apologies for absence?
Yes, Chairman, from Matt Ainge, Dennis Briaris, Suzanne Metters and Laura Sampson.
Okay, item 2, reports from County and District. David? Good evening.
Chairman, good evening. Sorry, I'm just trying to wire myself up. Kind of appropriate, I guess. Yes, we've had my monthly report. We didn't get one for the month of August because, as I'm sure your district councillor has reported, not much seems to happen in that particular month in any local authority. I don't know why. I don't know how we manage the rest of the time with all this staff we pay, but August seems to be terribly quiet. I think last time I reported about my health and wellbeing grant, I have a meeting now with the Wedmore Health and Wellbeing team at County Hall, so that will be good. And we're moving at pace. Happy to take it. I think the highway businesses doesn't seem to be too bad, even though we've. We'll
see you next month.
Sorry?
We'll see you next month.
Well, I mean. We seem to be digging up all the roads now before the bad weather arrives, so I don't know how much wetter it can get.
No.
It seems to be working quite well at the moment.
Going on the wellbeing, did you attend to the wellbeing day on Saturday?
I didn't. I was afraid I was away. Yeah. I think we're all very keen on prevention, and I think as Wedmore always leads the field in these things. And, I think we're at County Hall, we're very interested to see what you do. Really.
That was very good. The feedback was all very good.
Yeah, excellent. Nice. Really good.
That's good, wasn't it?
Yeah. Excellent. I'm happy to take any highway issues that Polly hasn't covered. I mean, in fact, she hasn't pestered me for a few weeks, so I'm assuming all's quiet. I hope she's not trying to get to the offices and avoiding me.
No, I've been copying you in.
Yeah, well done.
On things, but no, it's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, one little thing is the work that's going on at the top of Danvers Lane and Billings Hill.
Right.
It says that it's not Billings Hill, it's scheduled for Danvers Lane and Mudgley Road. So they're going to close the both at the same time.
Yeah, I noticed that today. That's really bad.
Yeah. So you're going to get Danvers Lane closed and Mudgley Road closed. And if anybody, half the village start trying to go down Mudgley Lane, it's going to be
Is it two different issues, two different sets of contractors?
No, I don't think it is. I think there's always been, because I live opposite it, I live on top of Billings Hill, and there's always been a problem with the top of the drain at the top of Mudgley Road that goes down into Dandos, and it's been a problem ever since we moved in.
Right.
So
you're hoping that's one of the issues that they.
Well, yes, right. We were hoping that it's the drains they're doing.
Okay.
But yeah, closing them both at the same time. I don't know where the traffic's going to go to get to Glastonbury. Go via all the little lanes.
Sand Road and then
It won't be allowed to, though, will it?
Well,
That'd be nuts.
the problem. Well, I actually did see, I think, a map of this particular diversion, which is all around the county, effectively.
Yeah.
But you know and I know that the locals won't use that route, but we just have to try and do that. So, let me have a look at that again. So we're saying we're closing both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's sort of Danvers
Lane and the top. It shows the top part of Mudgley Road from the start of Mudgley Road. That's on which one start is that? One net. It goes through onto one net. That's a really good one.
Okay, I'll liaise with Polly and Roy.
Roadworks.org. That's quite a good site.
Sorry, what does it say on the site?
It's on roadworks.org, and it then transfers you, when you put that in, to something called OneNet.
Okay, not the county council.
I've had
No.
I had a closure notice come through.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
It was a while ago,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was a while ago.
Because it was supposed to be done in July, just down Dust Lane,
Yeah.
and now they've
Because of
got
the
it.
works in Pilgrim Street, it was delayed.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
it was the
it's
gas works, that's why they delayed the works.
It's never.
Delayed.
It's sadly never a scientific process, because people ring me up and say, "God, the road's going to be shut for 14 weeks," and I said, "No, that's the period that they're allowed to do it." But, you know, it's weather dependent a lot of it, isn't it? Really.
Yes.
So,
They're saying 2 weeks.
I will see what I can
If
do
we
about
look
that.
into it, that'd be great.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Polly.
Okay, great. So since our last meeting, I just wrote a few things down that I had to look into. So it was about road markings at Heath House Crossroads, a sign at Saxon Way, which I think Steve George, but I couldn't work out what was wrong with it. But I've reported that as well. I got an email from Nick Avery about wanting a sign at Yeomore Drove.
That's in hand.
Yeah. So all those things, yeah, they've come back, they've taken them on board. I'd also got in touch with Liam Gill about some of the drains being completely blocked. The one particularly on Coombatch, on the junction of Coombatch Rise, which actually have vegetation growing out of it. Now they've cleared that one, but they've not done the one outside yours, and they've not done the one up on Sand Road, so I'm going to have to get in touch with them about that one.
Sorry, Joe, I sent another email tonight with that
Okay.
response on.
I emailed Richard Dunn about Blackford Brook, about it being overgrown, but he said, you know, it's scheduled to be done, and he looked at it, and it wasn't an issue, and it hasn't actually flooded.
Yeah.
Not
Very close look.
no. Well,
Sorry, but you have to say it.
but he's checked it. It hasn't actually called this rain. It hasn't flooded there, has it? I drove past the other
No, it
day.
hasn't flooded, no, but
But it's scheduled to be done. And then also there was a thing between Chapel Parish Council and the Washbrook Bridge.
Yes.
I emailed Catherine about that as well, and she's taking the district councillor from the other side for a little. Well, that's all sorted, so we haven't got to deal with that, I don't think. And then I've had a licensing
I
and
don't
general
think David's aware.
Washbrook Bridge.
Yeah, sorry, I was sort of half thinking it was your district council's report, but this is your highways report.
No, it's my district council. I'm just reporting back on the things that I've written down from last time, just to let everyone know that.
Oh, okay,
I've got onto
sorry.
it. But licensing general purposes committee meeting I've had, and we had a review of the polling districts. Some of them had to, you know, a lot of areas they had to use schools as polling stations, so they were trying to change that, so they find other venues. As we talk about taxi licensing policy and conditions, we had to change, so now we had to do some amendments, what we took to full council last week. There was full council, talked about Heart of the Southwest, blah blah blah, lots of other things. Yeah. And then I went to the Parish Council and Trees meeting. Sue went to it as well, which was organised by the Liberal Democrats. It was a really good meeting about how the parish, how we can plant trees. But actually, we're quite well ahead there, because I pointed out that we have got a piece of land and we're going to put some trees on it. So we were ticking lots of boxes. That's that for now. Thank you, Chairman.
Polly, thank you.
Okay, thank you, John.
Thank you very much. Okay, item 3. Record any declarations of interest.
None were.
Item 4, minutes of the meeting held on the 18th of September.
They've been circulated, everybody's happy?
Just one thing on that. When we were talking about the Christmas lights, Suzanne did say that she would be carrying the liability on that, which I think we ought to mention. I need shorts on action.
I haven't paid any money for it.
No, but I think that it will be recorded.
Indeed, I will.
You did footnote it, didn't you?
I think I've got something in it.
Is it?
As the council is not permitted to make a grant to an individual, the lights
that's
can be
it.
paid for by the council without reclaiming and gifted to local businesses. I will
Just emphasise that.
Okay, certainly. Everybody's happy with that.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, item 5, any public participation?
We have none.
Yeah. Item 6, matters arising. Judy?
Oh, me? Yeah. Right, I've spoken to Mr Chambers and we have agreed that he will come do the resurfacing on Coombe Lane on the 12th of November. I think we've been into the, what's actually going to happen in the lane. There's going to be some tarmac at either end and the potholes are going to be filled as well. And then there's going to be a couple of speed bumps. I've informed the Tuckers, the Dickies, Bill Belshaw and the Crooks, who are the people that are the most involved with the lane. The Scouts are going to meet somewhere else on Tuesday the 12th. Okay, and it will be closed from 9 o'clock on 12th of November until, well, really it needs 24 hours for it to go off, so it could be open again on Wednesday morning.
Anything else? The Tingles maybe? Do they need to be
I
notified?
haven't told the Tingles.
I have told the signals.
Right.
I wrote them a letter, I've had no response.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Is that go ahead even if the weather's terrible?
I don't know. I don't know.
Tarmac's not really
Well, they're nice
independent, to be
tarmac.
fair, so it shouldn't be. But we'll leave
It's
that
very
to.
exciting, Judy.
We'll leave that to.
Very. I'm very
To the
excited. Yeah.
contractor.
Oh, there's going to be a couple of signs as well for the
Oh, yes, we've got some.
speed bumps.
Cool. Great.
Excellent.
Brilliant. Well done.
Positive.
Yes.
Great.
Very.
Yes. Right. We'll just rejig the agenda slightly. We'll move to item 9, which is. Yeah. So over to you, Ben, from Ben Stevens from GigaClick, just to receive an update.
Hi again. So I just wanted to make sure I came and spoke to you because there have been news stories about the cancellation of the Connecting Devon and Somerset contracts. I wanted to make sure that I was making you aware of what the situation is and what's going to happen next and everything like that. So a couple of weeks ago, Connecting Devon and Somerset, which is a group of council bodies essentially, Somerset County, Devon County, Baines and North Somerset, plus a few of the district councils and various other things. They're the ones who hold the government subsidy that make building rural internet more affordable. They decided to cancel our contracts with 3 hours notice, which was good of them. It wasn't a total surprise because, as you all know, the project's been running behind, everything like that. But yeah, we thought we were coming to some kind of arrangement and evidently they had a different idea. But anyway, so that's where we are. So the subsidy has now been removed. Now the subsidy, when you work it out, was about 7% of our build costs, so it's not a massive amount really. And actually, they haven't paid us anything so far. So everything that's in the ground at the moment is 100% owned by us, and it's about £20 million worth of investment that we've made in Devon and Somerset in terms of infrastructure. Our network in this area, to give you some idea, goes from Limpsham right across to Westbury Submendip in a sort of big thick line across there. So that, it's a significant area that we're covering, so we're not just going to bury that and leave it and walk away. So everything that is already in is going to be delivered as you would expect, as we'd already planned, without any changes whatsoever. There's a few places, although I don't think any of them are in Wedmore Parish, where we're having to build 2 or 3 kilometres for a single house because that's what the contract said. Those are going to start to have to be phased out because they make no commercial sense without that subsidy. But that's the only real change, is that those really rural places are going to lose out. Everywhere else is going to still benefit. The other good piece of news, potentially, is that because we're no longer in contract, we're a bit freer to be able to make decisions about where we build and what technology we build. The contract was holding us to who needed internet 4 years ago and what technology was available 4 years ago, because that's when the contract was written. We're now able to look at who needs internet now and what technology is available now and be a bit more flexible about that. So if there's a good commercial case, we're happy to build wherever, as long as there's a commercial case for us. And unlike TrueSpeed, we'll sort of come and do it and then get the sign-ups afterwards. We're not going to sort of mess around doing the sign-ups first thing, that model that they do. I've had confirmation from our head office that we'll do the work first. So we're quite open about the potential that there is around here, because we've already got a network around here. So we're going to continue having the sort of open conversations with you, and the bits of network that are in Wedmore Parish should be going live this side of, it should be by the end of November. There was a little bit of a highways hiccup up in Badgeworth, but that's been resolved, so we can get all the properties that are going to be connected live before the end of November, which is good news.
Excellent. Is there anything that you were tied to previously that you wouldn't have done that you're going to do now, or is it?
We haven't made decisions on that yet. That's sort of phase 2 of our planning for the future. Phase 1 is what will we contracted to build that we're no longer going to, and then phase 2 is how can we make the network we've got left make sense for us commercially, and part of that will be adding stuff in. So it's an example that isn't Wedmore, but Draycott, for example, we weren't planning on building 2, but now we probably will because we can. And that's something that makes sense to us because we're already building, as I say, to Westbury and Rodney, so why wouldn't we build to Draycott? So there's things like that, decisions like that we're able to make now on a bit more of a bit more flexible basis, that hopefully should mean ultimately better internet for people in the long term.
Do you share some of the same areas that TrueSpeed are working in, so that there might be competition almost at the door? Or
yes.
Have you divvied it up between?
No, there haven't been any competition between the two companies. Well, not for many years. And yeah, there will be some elements of competition, which from a consumer point of view is great, from a road disruption point of view is less great. But I think there are ways of working around. I mean, up in Timsbury and Baines, for example, we were both going to use the same bit of road, so we shared that road closure. So there'll be things like that we can do to try and minimise disruption. But yeah, there will be some direct competition there.
So potentially you'll be digging 2 trenches. You wouldn't be sharing a trench for your services.
I don't think we're allowed to share a trench. We would have to dig 2 trenches, but we could do it under a single road closure if we're building the same area at the same time.
Yeah, you think where a road closure might be maximum of 6 weeks, then TrueSpeed we're there for 5, and then you put a couple on and then.
Well, yeah. Although I suppose we could, let TrueSpeed get 100 metres ahead of us and then come on the road behind them, or whatever the safety distance is. But
it's just madness, though, isn't it?
It would be, yeah. It's going to be exciting. I'm not saying that. There's no way we've got.
Potentially, that could happen.
But yeah, potentially, yeah.
Yeah, really.
Digger jousting. We go digger jousting rather than fisticuffs, but yeah.
Well, as long as you know where all the existing cables are, I suppose we will know.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. This problem the problem up in Badgeworth was actually that when we came to test it, the plastic tubes that we put in the ground had just been crushed by the weight of the tarmac on top, so we just needed to dig it up and replace it. But yeah, when we know where everything is, and when we come along to test it, we find little problems like that. But it's as I say, it's all going well, and from your point of view, from a consumer point of view, there's no real change to what we're going to be delivering. It's just that we'll do it without the 7% penalty.
Okay. Right. Anyone any questions? No, I really appreciate the update. Thanks.
No problem.
Thanks a lot. Safe journey home. Thank you. Moving back then, item 7, financial matters.
Very important, Chairman. All the accounts balance, I'm pleased to say, to the penny, all the bills have been paid, and I have the auditing reports from Laura Sampson and Suzanne Metters.
Okay. Item 8, Sean, over to you. To receive an update on any green issues and to adopt the green charter.
Oh, we're doing it at the same time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right. I wasn't at the last Green Wedmore meeting, so the minutes provided by Vanessa, the lead chair, and there are some up and coming events. Just get those out of the way first. There is a talk by a chap called, what's his name? Julian Heights, Britain's Ancient Forest. That's on the Monday the 4th of November at the Swan at 8 PM. There'll probably be some posters going up. It's the launch of his book, and they've managed to secure his time for the evening to talk about that. Donations going to be received. Then there's the Wedmore Big Tidy Up, which is on Sunday the 24th of November. And it's not just the tidying up for the same old people, but we need more people. The details are there, where you meet and what you do, and you'll probably see those up on the notice board. And that's on the 24th of November from 10 till 12. This is a Green Wedmore event, but that doesn't mean to say you have to be a member to pick up rubbish. Anybody's welcome to come. There is a December meeting in Green Wedmore with Somerset Food Direct, who will talk about their organisation and aims and how they work with many local suppliers and maybe adopt some new members right up to Christmas. Free Cycle, that event went ahead, which was, I presume, very successful. I was away, so I couldn't get to that one either. Next year, we're already starting to talk about the food trail, which is in conjunction with other food groups, if you like. Stuart Croker has been instrumental in getting a lot of that done. What's the other one? The tennis club is going to install a SMAPI. A SMAPI is a device which will help make a decision on whether installing batteries to supplement their photovoltaics is a good idea, because you could just put them in, but it might not be necessary. It depends on what time and how much electricity you use at various times of the day. So that's being installed to do an assessment to see whether batteries are a useful way forward to utilise the amount of PV that's on that roof. Tessa said it might be useful to have somebody to talk about more efficient and effective heating systems, domestic heating systems, so we probably try and find the right person for that.
Okay.
That's it. That's for the minutes. Oh, on the green chart.
What about the report, the green...
Oh.
Zero carbon report.
Yes.
Oh, the zero carbon report. Okay, there's a little paragraph here. Reducing consumption by up to 40% of current usage is possible, according to the report, but obviously that involves generating more renewable energy, either with ground-mounted solar photovoltaics or wind turbines. The aim is to be zero carbon by 2030, and in light of the information which you can't avoid now about how the planet's maybe getting a bit warmer than that, some local authorities are very keen to maybe bring that date forward. It'd be a very difficult thing to do. Discussed about the 93 pence per megawatt for production of electricity from Hinkley compared to £30 from wind turbine. And there was a report in the paper just this week that the prices are going down even more for wind generated electricity. Zero Carbon Wedmore was shortlisted for a national award, but because they didn't get the report done in time, it was not allowed to go forward. So, but maybe next year, because the report was slightly delayed. But it was nominated, which is fantastic. Just a thank you to Sonia Bedford, who worked on that for 18 months with Centre for Sustainable Technology, amongst others. That's it. And Vanessa Baker Hughes is now the chair, so she did. So with some help as well? Was there someone that was...
That was originally moved to try.
There was,
as a chair, you would know.
Yeah.
She's taken Steve News, hasn't she?
Yes.
Second Steve News, and but then I think she's doing it full time. But later on, there might be somebody who's more settled in the village who might want to be able to co-chair or something like that.
She even took away minutes of that meeting.
She did, yes.
What an idea.
I love the wage, yeah.
I was talking about that.
So, moving on to the Green Charter.
Okay, right. Thank you, Rodney, for proofreading that more than once, and tiny things which are quite important. It's very interesting. I think green charters have gone from fringe to mainstream in the last 10 years. I think lots of councils are moving very forward very quickly. In fact, we had some very exciting news that Sedgemoor District Council have said they're not wanting any fracking in Sedgemoor, which was unanimously adopted, which was quite amazing.
And there was,
Good.
there we have, ta-da,
Good.
revised.
Reaching up the
It
times.
was unanimous, wasn't it?
It was unanimous, yes.
Unanimous, and lots of people just thinking that we'd never envisaged that, not me, but others who know the machinations of Sedgemoor a lot better than I do, that's found that quite very positive. Of course, other things, maybe not so positive. I think Neil Byris has tried to get Sedgemoor Council to, maybe Somerset County Council to look at passive housing, but he doesn't even get a response. So, you know, there's some things are fantastic and other things are slow, so we can't blame them in their entirety. I suppose this is important because if we're going to start maybe broadcasting what we do, we need to get our house in order, and some of the things are related to the assets of Wedmore Council itself. We're doing some things already. The health and wellbeing just happened, which is sort of part of it. The Shell is doing stuff. I mean, I've put in that next to the value number 2, conserving energy. Pleasant Parish, we're doing the tidying up. There is a new thing happening which we could probably adopt very quickly. Recycling centres now have a new bin called
Energy from waste.
Energy from waste, which means all those things which went back in your plastic box, which the guys on the side of the road didn't take, like anything microwavable black plastic, now can actually generate energy from that. And I think there will be, it's going to expand. So, you know, I mean, this has been done for us, rather than us having to go out and try and do it all ourselves. Other things which I suppose we can look up later on, we can't do it all at once, is do we really need to use glyphosate, the Roundup? I don't know, some authorities stopped it years ago, others still have, you know, guys going along in quads just spraying. I was the Isle of Wight recently, and there was 2 quads going down each side of the road with just spraying herbicide down each side. You know, obviously it saves money, but it's maybe something which is just not considered in the same light anymore. So amongst all those values, we're already doing some, and I suggest in a meeting like this to discuss all 10 of them, and I mean you've all got the copy from Rod. I mean, a way forward, I mean, could we discuss one at a time, rather than, because the minutes don't take very long, and give you a chance rather than me just going talking 10 to the dozen. And in the light of talking about one, doesn't have to be in the order it's there, we could then maybe say this is, we could go on the Isle of Wedmore News.
Yeah.
So, just not under the Green Group, it'd be different, it'd be under the Parish Council saying, we discuss this one at a time, because it's far too much.
I think it would be really good to be able to do stuff where we can actually action something clearly at the end of it. You know, just rather than just talking about it, which we do a lot of, and I know people are still, you know, doing this stuff. But as a parish council, I think it'd be great if we could get a strategy together where we can say we are doing this, and this, even if it's small things. Because if we can show that we're doing this stuff, then the big things might start to happen, and they've got to happen very quickly. But you know, if we can do that, that'd be really, really good. I'm
quite keen actually for it to tie in, so I've taken your time, but to tie in really with what the neighbourhood plan is standing for as well. So as part of that, I've actually just ordered or put a request for a couple of car charging points to be put in the car park. So I actually met Mike last week and his brother about the infrastructure that's required for getting the charging, and it's actually relatively simple to go ahead and do. So I've been in contact with Cara, that they'll be coming out and doing a survey, but because there's very limited stocks available now of the charging points. So yeah, the main the power is there for us to do. It's going to mean a rejig of a couple of the parking spaces. But you know, we can certainly tick that box, hopefully before Christmas. So that's what I'm aiming for. So if that can happen, then all better, really. So, sorry, Sean.
That's a really an Isle of Wedmore thing to go out. It's tremendous.
Well, what I wanted to do was get a confirmed right, the kit's coming, and actually use, because we've helped the developers down at the bottom of the Lurburn with regards to helping them with the road closure and going out through the car park, that we'll ask them to do the groundworks for us as an offset for helping them out, and then there'll be limited costs to the council for the costs for the electrician and stuff, so we'll offset one against the other and get it zero cost to us really, or minimal cost. So that's what I'm planning on anyway. So I didn't want any fanfare just yet because it hadn't happened. So, but yeah, so that's what I'm working on.
So when do we bring the trumpet then?
Next month.
Okay.
On the banjo.
Yeah.
And sparklers.
Let's get it done first. Let's anyway.
So,
Yeah.
sorry, I was going to ask the way forward though.
Yeah, way forward. But just something, the other things I put in red here. I mean, things like the council can influence others and build consensus around issues. That's just under number 4, being ethical. But I mean, how we do that is quite a big thing. I mean, I think the Isle of Wedmore News is a great magazine. And as much as I love reading about the golf, it might be that there's some space in it. I know you can't get the staplers. You can't get the staplers live. I know.
The golf club to write shorter reports.
Right, yes, because the staplers can't take any more pages. So yeah, so that was my point. And engaging the people. I mean, that's a meaning on its own, because you've lived here a long time and you know what works and what doesn't with big people, and it might not. If it's called green, people might walk in the other direction. If it's an arts event and there's a green something on the side, you've caught them in a different way.
Can't you just produce a QR code and then people scan it with their phone and then can go to the main link of what's been done?
My brother-in-law put an advert in the Isle of Wedmore News, and I persuaded him to use a QR code for his business. And he has absolutely no business out of it, because a lot of people said they don't know what it is. So he spent about £400 and nobody's used it. Although you can click on it and you can play a song from a QR code. You can do anything.
I think the thing about advertising and sounding our trumpet and telling people what's going on, like this you say about the recycling of plastics.
Yes.
At the recycling centres.
Yes.
They've been doing this for nearly over a year now.
Oh, well, you just started it in Wales, but
in Cheddar, but nobody knows about it. We've been
But
doing it.
it's actually in there.
Yeah, but I think that but soon.
So about 3 weekly collections.
There should be 3 weekly productions.
Yeah, well, this is something that was in the meeting I'm going to tell you about. We went to the cluster meeting. The guy from Somerset Waste Partnership.
Yes.
It was very inspirational.
Yeah. And none of the plastic will end up in the sea from Somerset, which is very reassuring. Okay, so a way forward is, I mean, we have committees for cemeteries and for allotments and things. Could there be a committee for green? I don't know, does that change everything? I mean, a couple of report back, but maybe that's obviously to be looked at later, but it means you're doing stuff. I don't mean you're unilateral. I mean, everybody's unilateral, I suppose, until we sort of put it together.
Yeah.
But and Greenmore Web will do their thing, and other people are probably doing stuff we don't even know about. So we're not standing on a soapbox saying we're the best, but I don't know. Maybe a subcommittee meeting of just green, and then you've got the time to do it rather than all the other things. I don't know.
Well, I think you're right. I think there's a lot of action at the moment, which is great.
Yeah.
And there's a lot. I mean, that talk that was in the Swan the other day, I thought was brilliant.
Yeah.
So many different things to think about and do.
Yeah.
And I think it's too much for the meeting here to discuss. But I think that perhaps if we get people who can draw out some of the key points where we can actually do something and put it to the main meeting, would be cracking, really.
Yeah.
Because you've seen her present before, haven't you? The resilience manager from through.
So she was also at the presentations as well, and they've got a few brilliant ideas that we could easily adopt here, like the share scheme for sharing tools and things, and you know, just I was quite inspired by that.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Which was
I
really
thought
good.
it was a really good meeting, actually.
Yeah, so did I.
I'm waiting for, because it's supposed to be a video that Tessa said she would do, but it hasn't come back.
Video?
We were hoping that we'd get some info because it was so quick.
I've got her slides actually, so I can forward them to this group.
Oh, if you would.
I've got her slides, I just happen to have those.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get something together then. We'll get a committee drawn up then.
I'll join.
So right.
Yeah, I'm keen to go on
I'll
that.
send a circular out last week.
Yeah, it's just we'll get something going in. We'll get some dates or something.
And the good news is there's a massive increase in the number of people over 60 who are going on Extinction Rebellion. It's not just youth, it's a lot of people who are well into their certain age and who are going to London on coaches. So it's across the generations. It's not just, you know, the 1970s Paris riots with students with beards. It's a lot of people now.
That'll feed in quite well because we're looking to help dementia sufferers as well in the village, so that'll feed in quite well.
Excellent.
No, from the well-being. No, it's a separate thing from the well-being. Okay, so right. Anyway, right. All Sean, is that all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Another 3 minutes.
Sorry. I was saying it's 3. No problem.
Okay. So moving on to item 10.
Chairman, I've had a request from Bill Belshaw, the Scouts, to ask if they could put a signpost up at the entrance of Coombe Lane, just directing people down to the Scout Hut, because there's so many events taking place now there that people are getting lost apparently. That's the sort of format they want. The measurements on the top, I haven't got a clue what they are. They're 42 millimetres. That's got to be quite a big sign, isn't it? He says it fits in quite nicely under our road sign at the end of Coombe Lane. But that's what they want to put up.
Where do the Girl Guides go?
Sorry?
Where do the Girl Guides go?
Well, they all meet in the same place.
No, they don't.
Don't start doing that. Let's not go down that. I know, I just asked the question, will we have any objection they put a sign up just to make it?
No,
There's not just scouting in there, is there? Because I mean,
So,
built
my
into
daughter
that
does
big
yoga
down
there,
and yeah.
I think it's a really good idea for people to know where they're going. So,
Yeah.
Okay, so that's okay.
It'd be a lovely drive down there in new time.
Well,
on a new time,
Okay.
Slowly, please, slowly.
Yeah, thank
Slowly on this
Any goals?
Okay. Item 11.
Yes, I circulated this one, Chairman. This is an application for a justice's licence or a local authority licence for selling wine off the premises at Mow Barton Estate. I think it's up at Mudgee. I think it's next to where Mike Bethel lives. There's a vineyard up there. They're now been going so long, they're now in production process and they just need a licence. I don't see what the problem would be if we give them a licence. We just had to give a comment.
It's a licence for what exactly?
To sell wine.
Just to sell wine from the premises, which they
I think most of it's going to be mail order, it looks like it.
Does that suggest?
Very nice wine. I've tried it. Yeah, it's like champagne. It's very nice.
How much is it about?
Does that suggest? Is it just their wine?
Yeah, oh indeed.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not selling Tesco's.
No,
it's really, it's on their premises, it's their wine.
Yeah.
It's off, yes, it's one they produce.
I think we should.
I don't know. I would hope there'd be no objection to this, we could just say,
No.
No, good luck to them. There's been a lot of
We've
work
got
gone into
business with
into the
To get a
vineyard.
free case of the
Right, item 12. So
Yeah,
tonight, Ross.
I circulated details last month for Mrs. Jackie Farley, who lives at Bagley, who wants to come on the Parish Council. She's already said she'd like to serve on the Allotments Committee, the Finance Committee, the Highways Committee, and the Housing Committee. And if everybody's, I'm sure you all read her CV. It went on about 3 pages, it was quite extensive. And all being well, if everybody's happy, we will invite her along to our November meeting where she can be co-opted on the committee, on the Parish Council officially.
fantastic.
Everybody happy with that?
Yes, great.
I don't know personally, but
I had 20 minutes this year, wasn't it?
excellent. Right, item 13. Any issues and questions raised by councillors? Holly?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah. Just well, that's
right.
Because it's going to be longer than 3. 1.5 in this and 3 in the next one. This is a letter from the Reverend Richard Neal, which I don't know how many of you know about. It was handed to me by somebody in Thiel, and basically it's a very touching, really nice letter from Richard, asking people if they can attend the Thiel Village Hall on the Thursday 24th of November, because I wouldn't say the church was in crisis, but they're trying to get something discussed before it gets to crisis. And in the 4th paragraph it says here, however, we hope that you would miss the presence of a church in the village if worship there was not able to be sustained and the building had to close. We're not asking for money, which is in the very first paragraph, but there is an increasingly elderly congregation, which is diminishing in size, and the maintenance that they have been doing voluntarily is getting harder to get. And I only heard about this yesterday at another meeting which I want to talk about in the village halls, which we had an extraordinary meeting about.
Date, because it seems to clash with your big toe, yeah.
24th of November.
No, this is Thiel Village Hall, 21st of November.
21st.
Does it say what?
Is it confirmed? 21st?
7:30 in the evening, refreshments, wine and drink will be available.
21 or 24?
Yeah,
So
probably.
Thursday the 21st it says here, yeah. They want you to come, not just to support, you can be critical if you wish. It says here, which Richard was very generous. And yeah, it's had an impact on the other things in Thiel, which I'll talk under the village halls. And if you want to see that there, maybe.
Shall I have it? Yeah.
Have you responded to
With you personally?
No, it's been given out. It's been given out to everybody.
I have seen that,
from
but I-
Latcham all the way down to.
Very grateful.
You can.
Thank you.
That's all the way.
They've been given out by hand, so I don't know. I think it's everybody who can. I think it would be actually because Phil Butterworth is down there.
We talk about the Thiel Church.
Yes.
Right, sorry, I thought you were talking about this church.
No.
What? How did I miss that?
Thiel
Okay.
Church.
Yeah.
Just to add, I did have a conversation with Richard Neal this morning. Will Jackson's been out there and mown the lawn, the churchyard for the lawn, the churchyard for them, because it was 4 foot high in grass, which we paid him £100 to do, because Richard was in his wits' end. He said we can't afford to do it. At least now they've got a one-off. We've cleared it, and they're trying to get some volunteers now to take on the upkeep of it. So this time of year it shouldn't grow much more, I wouldn't have thought. So anyway, I paid Will. We paid Will £100 today, just in his bill, just for cutting the churchyard out there.
Okay. Make sure. Okay. Pete, anything?
No.
Joe?
No.
No? Nobody?
Well, I went to meet, Glennis and I went to meet with Matt Drew.
Sorry, talk about Chris.
Sorry,
I need to know who.
and went to meet Matt Drew at Hugh Sexy's.
All right.
To talk about getting to and from school, I guess, and some of the things that could improve the cars parking all around Blackford. And so I did write some notes which I can send to Rod and he can share with everyone. I was still waiting to hear back from Matt on a couple of points, but he's a bit busy and hasn't been able to get back to me. But one of the things I've tried to do is get in touch with Somerset County Council about the half-empty bus that's stopping in Wedmore and then going on to Hugh Sexy's. But because they have a flat fee policy, they want £749 per child to do that, which obviously isn't really affordable. So we're just saying, you know, if the bus is half empty and going that way anyway, could you come down in price? And then other things that came out of that was, you know, things that people have talked about for years, a cycle path between Wedmore and Blackford, a crossing in Blackford. So anyway, yeah, I've got some notes which I'll circulate to everyone, but if anyone's got any...
Probably with regards to the bus, maybe getting David Huxtable involved as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Just bringing him on the email.
He was here, yeah.
Emily, I've only got one. There's that bit where I presume kids aren't allowed to walk into the front of school at the beginning and the end of the school day using the front entrance because of the buses.
Yeah.
But of course it's that terrible verge where it's really awful weather, like it has been. They don't want to walk on the grass and it's all potholed and dreadful.
Yeah.
And why the hell isn't there
I
a
know.
pavement?
Well, this was one of the things we talked about, wasn't it, guys?
And what did they say?
So it's quite frustrating actually, because apparently they'd promised someone else in the village that during the summer they'd make a little path, which was my suggestion of the little path around the front of the school so that they could go in the side. And over the summer, instead of doing that, they actually turned it into a staff car park.
Yeah.
So now they say they can't move the children there because the cars are there. So I've come back to him and said, well, can't you just put a secondary fence in between? So here's the fence next to the road, here are all the cars, put another fence there and they can just walk, because there's a gate there and everything, it makes perfect sense.
Himself too, doesn't it?
But he said he doesn't think that would work. So then he suggested a little path inside the hedge, so here's Wells Way, a little path here, so they could come in there.
Yeah.
But Mr Tatterton says that won't work.
Why?
I don't know, we haven't found that
We haven't found out. No, but I mean, there has to be something.
What's it going to take? What is it going to take before?
Well, there's going to be an accident, isn't there?
What is it supposed
Would it be worth putting it as an agenda item for the next meeting?
Yeah.
Between now and then we can try and get a few more.
And let's see if we can get Matt Drew here.
Well, it's not Matt Drew.
It's not, no.
Well, someone, a representative from school?
No, I don't think they can. We can ask.
If we're going to do it on school property and say, why, Mr Tatton, can't you do it just where the bins are and do a little...
We can ask.
Let's get some drawings done, or just
Yeah.
plot a proposed route.
Yeah, I think we need to
People can
look
look
at
at
it as an agenda item then.
Yeah.
And the other thing that came up was Wells Way and Flood Street. A long time ago we were going to try and get some signs put up there. You know, beware cyclists. Nothing's happened.
No, I've still asked highways, they're not... I'll tell you about that in highways. I'll do that in a minute.
And the potholes and all that sort of
Yeah, I'll tell you about that.
Yeah, so Vince was there as a governor actually.
Glenys, what do you want to put on the agenda?
Well, I think perhaps we could just, an agenda item, a discussion, Hugh Sexes and safe routes to school.
Yeah.
Because it is on the neighbourhood plan.
It is, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I think we can just also, so that everybody, I mean, it was Mel and myself that met, but everybody needs to be involved in
Yes,
it,
definitely.
not just myself and Melanie, you
No.
know,
Emily.
everybody.
That's all right.
No, that's bad, you know, everybody has to be involved.
Emily Mulliners.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, it's just floating off the tongue, doesn't it? No, brilliant. Okay, yeah, let's get it as a priority then.
We need to do something. And the other thing about the school buses is the Chair of Governors is trying. She's
trying
sort
as
of
well.
pushing as well with the school buses. She's trying to get this. I mean, it's the fact that there is a bus that goes through Wedmore
That drops off at Wedmore First School and then carries on to Hugh Sexes. So there's actually space on there. So
David,
Yeah, it's comfortable.
So anyway, she's trying to work on that as well. But if we can just put it as an agenda item,
Yeah,
a discussion.
I think it's one of the new county council ones actually. I think.
Okay, Nadia?
Only that the Pandora Inn was a bit of an issue.
We're planning that case to be withdrawn.
I think there's been quite a bit of, regard about that, and it's been withdrawn.
Judy? Sue?
Just that Mr Potto of Flood Street rang me up and said that he thought that the fencing that had gone up for the building that's going on, the development opposite the school, not next to the school, opposite the school, that the fencing has gone up, the security fencing, and he thought that it had gone way farther back than he was expecting.
Security fencing, as opposed to...
Well, I went down to have a look in the absolute pouring rain, and I couldn't really get to the, but I noticed it was just that security fencing.
Is it encroaching on his land?
I couldn't tell you unless I got a tape measure.
No, well, they've obviously allowed a distance from where they're going to be working to allow a buffer between the security fencing in his house.
I'm going to go and see them. I mean,
they've allowed it just for a safety.
I think they have, but I just want to just check it with them, and then I can tell Mr. Potter that isn't the building line.
No,
That
it'll
is
be
just the security fencing.
They'll have to have space to build within, or not build, but put fencing up or whatever inside. So they've left it. Because we've had another member of the community who lives up around there would have said certainly before Mr. Potter. So if it was wrong.
So I'm happy with that.
Sorry, it's not my turn
Right,
anymore,
it's all right.
but on that development, has anyone asked about, it's a nightmare at school at drop-off and pick-up. So twice this week there have been big lorries blocking that road, like literally between 3 and 4, and I just wonder if anyone's thought about suggesting that they don't have lorries between.
As part of their management plan, they should actually stay out of school hours.
Yeah, so they're not.
So that was already discussed way back when the application went in. Obviously, to the close proximity of the school, that any deliveries and stuff wouldn't impede on or have a safety aspect, issue with the school. So we'll have to contact them and just
there were 2
reiterate
massive
that,
lorries at 3:30 today that was holding up traffic on either side, and I think it must have been on Monday in the morning. There were cars going way past the pavilion, all the way down that way towards Blackford, all the way up to past the bit where it gets narrow with the traffic. So
what we need to do is for someone to keep a diary of all the incidents, so that we've got evidence.
When I'm at drop-off.
Well, just so that we've got evidence of not photos or anything, but X, Y, Z.
Just on
it's more than one occasion. One off maybe.
Yeah, and
like
I think Mrs. Ham went to talk to them as well. I don't know if anyone knows about that or if she told anyone.
Well, we can go straight through by the planning department, and they can write a letter and just remind them of their responsibilities, and if not, then I can go up and speak to the site manager.
Like we've got a Harry.
Yes.
We've got.
Been not very receptive, Sue, to be fair.
Strong dogs.
No.
Do you know what?
I've been up a couple of times. I've spoken to the site manager, just with regards to the messy roads and stuff, and it's hands out and gone, yeah, we'll sort it, and they've done it. So, but something like this, where there is a safety issue, I think we have to go down the official route first.
Do we have a site manager's name?
Offhand, I can't remember. There is a contact, but we've got an email as well, haven't we? So we can let's do the official route first, and then we can
it's their conditions.
And if they want to come back to us direct, then they can. But let's make sure it's noted, really. I think just for the safety aspect, really. Okay. Gladys?
No, I mean, again, going back to sexes, I mean, there's so many things that, they were asking about sill money, and in order to develop some of this crossings or safe routes to school, could they have some sill money? So that needs to be looked into as well.
Yeah, it goes back to highways, doesn't it, as well?
Yeah.
It does.
So
I've told the business manager there how to sort out the CIO payments and what she must do. So she's putting a business plan together now.
Right. That's why she said, can I talk to you?
Oh, right, so you're writing it for her?
I'm not going to write it for her, but I don't know anything about it. So.
Well, if there's a wish list, then we need to know about it, don't we? So,
exactly.
and then we can, if we can help them, we will, certainly.
There's certain things we can't spend so much money on.
And I think we need actually to draw up and circulate what is.
No, there's so much information online. If you look up what you can spend some money on,
we can have a brief of specifics. Maybe you might narrow it down a little bit. And
you can't pay for highways works.
No.
If we can get some of these things, some answers to some of these things.
Yeah, no, definitely.
For the next meeting.
Definitely.
Or things that have been looked into, and think
Or
so.
not.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that's good, thank you.
Okay. Ed? Okay. Rob? No. Okay, moving on for correspondence, item 14.
That's very good correspondence. I circulated all the urgent stuff, Chairman, and my pen has run out. Thank you.
Pink one for you.
That's all right.
Okay, item 15, committee reports, cemetery.
Oh yeah, we got a really nice letter from a Greek bishop, wasn't he?
was.
Mandrake or something.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Greek Orthodox
yeah.
minister.
Like a bishop or something, but above the garden of remembrance,
Yeah,
there's some shrubs.
yeah.
Somebody's put a little garden there with some flowers, and this man comes to visit his granny, who's buried on that row immediately behind the garden of remembrance. And apparently, whether it's Mary Tucker's little flowers, we haven't actually found the grave yet, have we, Rod?
It's halfway up the grave, isn't it, really? It's all encroaching on the grave.
The shrubs are encroaching on the grave, so we're going to have to look at that.
I've asked Will to get a tape measure out and measure.
And see, we must find out which grave it is actually.
Well, the
Is it
whole
Mary
row would need to be
Tucker's?
done,
The
because-
whole, so we're going to have to reduce that, the shrubs.
The shrub.
Yeah, or
We
maybe,
were going to
or we're going to have to plant less, isn't it? Anyway, so yes, it was a very, very nice envelope apparently that appeared. Other than that, I think it's all right out there. It seems to be.
Grass cutting okay?
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
those hedges are going to need doing again next year, like we did.
Like we did last year.
But it won't be as arduous as it was the
Brutal.
first time we did it.
We
So
just need to
because,
keep on top of them, don't we? That's
yeah, so I think that'll be next spring.
Yeah, so we'll have some.
Spring now, isn't it?
It's still growing.
Okay, thank you, Glenys. Facilities, allotments and footpaths.
Not much further forward with the allotments, are we?
We need to, we
I'm
We
waiting
need
for,
to-
I'm waiting for councillors to sort of tell them what to do.
we need a chair, don't we, Judy?
Yeah, Judy, we do need a chair. Can I propose Judy Candy as chairman of the allotments committee?
Well, Joe, you were going to help, weren't you?
I'd second that.
Okay, well, call a meeting.
I'd like Joe to help.
Speak with Rod then and get a meeting together, and then we'll get some action, because there is a wish list of stuff they want as well. So
Okay.
after speaking to a couple of the allotment holders, all right. The footpath, is it?
Footpaths, yeah, they're there.
It's still there, I think.
Still allowing lots of people to help. People, that was adopting footpaths, wasn't it?
I'd like to speak
Do
to
you
you.
remember?
I might have to speak Robin.
You are.
Yes, you are. You're
Thank
you pay now.
No, it's true. Yeah, the presentation by Jake from Somerset County Council, he's gone now, he's history.
Yeah.
He did promise me 20 definitive maps, because I tried to get the photocopy that was going to cost between £45 and £65, because they're a really funny size, and in colour, which is necessary, because otherwise it's all the paths just don't make any sense. He said he would send me 20 colour copies, but he hasn't, and he says I've got about a week to go, and he said he would do it because it's for, there's no charge to the Parish Council because it's for a purpose. I don't know if you can follow up now that Jake's not there. I don't know who else to phone to say, we want 20 maps as promised because we want to sort of...
Chrissy's.
The post is vacant.
I'll ring Chrissy's now.
Chrissy's.
Chrissy's?
What post?
Jake post. Yeah,
Sorry?
Jake post is vacant. It's on the vacancy.
He was good lad too, he was a pity.
Yeah,
He's a good person now.
Very good talk actually, yeah. Chrissy's pathways,
Yeah,
yeah.
so, county council highways, footpaths officer.
Right.
All right, well hopefully he'll be able to do that. Yeah, that was it really.
Okay. Finance and general purposes.
No, working on the budget at the moment.
Housing. Only apart from what you've mentioned, Sue, yeah. Cross farm. The vision displays being worked on as we speak.
Road closure next week. Next week.
For the car park.
For the Liberals being closed. Is that 20? Is that the
21st.
21st, yeah.
Yeah, I did send Harry some pictures of the mucky road because I had a complaint,
Not surprised.
and he did say that he would get onto it.
They
and
have
he
been-
apologised.
I have been out on site with them, and
Yeah, he apologised.
They are up
I
against
did
it.
I did say the weather
There's
was
been
foul.
around,
it's they are doing their best. So
They're doing their best.
cut a little bit of slack, I think. But
Yeah.
They've got a road sweeper up and down Coombe Batch Rise that's going up and down there for about 2 hours a day.
So say someone moaned because the road sweeper's too noisy?
Oh no, serious.
It's
Right, sure.
Kid
you
and it's going up. Wells Road
I
now
kid
as
you
well.
not. So,
You're going to get trigger right there.
not yet.
John,
I kid you
John,
not.
John phoning that, was it that?
So, you know, you can't help, can you? You know, that's what we're up against.
I won't put that in a
so-
minute, Jim.
No.
It's too laughable.
Okay, highways, car park and Brook.
Okay,
Highways.
yeah, so to be honest, in answer to your questions about Wells Way and Blood Street and signage and stuff, I have emailed Highways again, Liam Gill. He's not the easiest to deal with. In fact, Catherine, I copied Catherine into everything now, but they're not due to now carry on doing that resurfacing, the poor work they did anyway. They're not due to do it till next summer, 2020. That's when they're scheduled to do it, and they're going to do it apparently in school holidays, which is really weird. Because normally they just do it during term time. So, you know, they have told me, I keep going on and on about the signage, but Neil and I have also kind of talked about that as part of the neighbourhood plan and still money whether we put some money towards, you know, beware pedestrians, cyclists along that way if we
Just
can.
bring it
I quite like
forward,
highways to chip in as well.
Well, they should, yeah.
What other highways things? So yeah, they're going to do the resurfacing of Church Street in November. I have been
Stuff, yeah.
told that they will be doing the yellow lining then as well, but I don't know when they're going to do the yellow lining in the rest of, you know, along the borough and in the other places we wanted them to do it. So yeah, I mean, we're getting there with bits, and I mean, David was saying that he wasn't rating Catherine, he said she promised the earth and deliver very little, but actually, so far, she seems to be doing quite well. The bollards up on Billings Hill appeared, on the corner, which just overnight appeared.
And the lady who lives on that was thanking me very much for them. Yeah, was it?
And with the Gronsdale Junction, so that's good. So little things are coming up and appearing, so we're getting there
We are
slowly.
getting there. I think since we've met with her, it actually is got through, hasn't it? With
Very, very nice.
yeah, no,
But
really.
on the yellow lines front, what I'm going to email her about is what, once they're done, I want there, because they can be policed, because any village that has double yellow lines within it, county council have got a team that come out and monitor them and do ticketing. So I want that to happen quite quickly before, and quite regularly to start with, so that people who think, oh well, I'll just carry on parking here because nothing will happen, I want them to get ticketed, so that they're, oh actually no we can't, this is being policed.
You'll probably find that
There
doing
was
church and do
something-
the rest as well. won't
Yeah.
it?
You would hope so.
Yeah.
Well, yes, you'd hope so, but
Somebody mentioned to me about the yellow lines, because we were talking, they were saying about them, they're going to go in the passing places and on the corners. And he said that if you have yellow lines and they haven't got yellow marks on the pavement next to them,
You're on about disabled parking.
disabled
yeah.
parking, they can park there for 3 hours.
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So I just wondered,
It was
in
highlighted,
the passing
wasn't it?
places, whether
They'll probably
they
put
would
curb
put
markings
the
there.
yellow, whether they put
I'm sure
those.
they will.
well I'm sure they
I'm sure
will.
they will.
Just make a note.
I'll make a note and email her about that then, just to
Okay.
double check.
Yeah, no, it was a good point well raised. Well, yeah,
I'm
that's
trying to keep the village
So,
free.
Let's make them red.
yeah, that's pretty much it really.
Okay, thanks, Point.
That's right.
I'll just add for the car park and Brook, the Brook's running really well, you know, with this bad weather, which is good. Unfortunate we had Will doing all the clearance works before we've had this bad stretch of weather, but it's, it all seems to be going okay. Car park, as I said previously, so I've met with an electrician with regard to getting some car charging points installed, and we've also looked at the CCTV system with regard to getting that up and running as well. So watch this space, we'll just get some costs for that.
Going back quickly to Brooke, hasn't cleared that bit by that piece of land that we own by Worthington Close, that chunk. It's completely overgrown, that he's cleared before on the Lurburn.
I think you've done over there.
Right down the bottom.
So he's cleared a bit, which is where they've been doing the works across one, which actually I believed was the drainage board's responsibility to clear that section. However, it's further down, so the piece of land that we own, so the end of Worthington Close houses, and then where the sewage works are, there's that,
Well, it's because we've actually gone to Sanctuary as well, haven't we? Because some trees are impacted on that as well, isn't it? So we're due a response from Sanctuary as well.
Okay, there's a chunk that Will's done before, which is literally from our piece of land, the outlet pipes from the sewage works on the Lurburn. He needs to do that, it's really bad.
I've had a map on it, probably, to understand what you're talking about.
I'm sorry.
It's getting printed. On expenses. I put it on expenses.
No, I don't want maps that big. I mean, just the names of the roads.
All right, planning.
Planning, next meeting next week, Chairman. I think there's 10 on the agenda.
You want to do it soon?
Well, yes, I am. One was, is it 10 now?
I think it's about 10 on there. I'll send you the agenda tomorrow.
Send me an update.
One more came in yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the two, there's the
Traveller sites.
2 traveller sites from there.
Okay.
So I don't, the Quad Lane site is up again. I can't for the life of me see any difference.
I can't see much difference.
Yeah, they've changed it, that's not brick anymore.
Is that it?
It's rendered now.
Yeah. And is that the only
No, then
change?
what was the other change?
Oh, it was something to do with the
Trees?
the sewage treatment plant.
Location's changed,
Yeah,
isn't it? I haven't looked at it, to be fair,
Yeah, because that floods that.
Yeah.
And the other one was going back 2 years, the one at Thiel, down Westwell Lane.
It's a bit more than 2 years, really.
Well, I don't know.
It's forever.
It's 2018 planning application anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I know the most recent one, it goes back.
I'm just thinking if we have...
It's been the same as it's been since really the day they moved in and put up
It's revised plans
a
again.
gas support, yeah.
Okay, we'll have a look at it next week.
But no, I'm sorry.
Can I just ask, Mr Chairman, the planning meeting is, when did you say?
Next week.
Next Wednesday. It's just that I keep getting asked in Blackford, if the council have, is that still just outline
For what?
for Paradise Barton?
It's not on the agenda.
No, I mean, it appeared in the papers that, sorry, I mean, I know this is not a planning meeting, but I get lobbied, I don't mind that, I mean, but I haven't got any answers.
I'll have to look at the application. I don't know what the application was. It's not on the agenda next week.
I mean, according to the landlady or the landlady's agent, Rebecca Kimber Danger.
Yes, I remember her well.
Yeah, so do we all. But anyway, she was saying, we've got our permission. And I've seen nothing at all, but people, I mean, that's not just me, it appeared in the paper under planning applications. And nobody seems to know what, is that detailed or is that still just outline?
I'll look it up tomorrow.
Yeah, that one.
Just to have the answer, not have to be...
I don't know.
We'll have something back for next week's, for next week's planning meeting.
It's certainly not on the agenda for next week.
No.
Okay.
It would have come in.
Well, I will look at it.
What I was trying to get to about the planning was, do we need to have it in Bideford again?
No. Surely not. It's revised plans, it's not on...
For what? For Quad Lane?
Yeah. I don't know.
Nothing as such has changed, is it? It's not there's no more accommodation or anything.
Rendering instead of
it's just aesthetics, really, isn't it?
I'm just asking because if loads of people want to come
they
to
can
it.
come and...
Put the comments on as usual.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's aesthetics, as you say. Isn't it?
Yeah. I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, that's what it is.
Okay. Reports from reps on committees. Either Wedmore News.
Well, we've had 3 years of magazines bound, and I think we're going to pick them up on Monday or something like that.
21st.
21st, is that Monday or Monday week? Don't know. I've got to
Yeah,
put it up. Yeah, anyway, they'll be useful.
Pick them up, but
Brilliant.
And who's paid the bill? Has somebody paid the
Yes.
bill?
We've paid it.
it's
They
pick
paid
them
it.
up.
Right, thank you.
And
We will
be,
pay
then it'll be exactly the
Right.
same as the one last year. And she's
Okay,
so reasonable.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. Play areas, Polly.
Yeah, so we had our first little meeting, and we've got a nice little committee going on. Chair, oh my God, I forgot everything. Chairman is Hannah Burbage, so she's just the other side of, literally the end of Canberra. Secretary is Sarah Tipping, who's in Wedmore, and Jackie Farley is the treasurer. And so we've got people involved who, there's a couple who live in Blackford, so Emily's on it. So it's a mixture. We've got some. They also took. We've got
Which
people
was
to
the
cover,
idea,
to
wasn't
cover
it?
all of them, which is brilliant. And
Which
they
was
all
the
just
idea.
put their hands up to volunteer, so it worked quite nicely. So we just had our first meeting, sorted that out. I very much wanted to hand it over because I didn't want to be responsible for the whole thing, but we'll still be involved because I want to very much see the Cross Farm play area finished off. So we just discussed what funding is potentially there. We've got a meeting with Scott Mason, who's a play area guru from Sedgemoor. So we're meeting at Batford in half term, and we're going to just go and have a little tour of all the play areas, and he have a little play on the swings, yeah, see if he'll push us on the roundabout. And he's going to be able to advise us on what potential equipment's out there, other ways of funding stuff. Hannah Burbage has got great knowledge of all of this because it's kind of her remit, play areas and stuff. So yeah, it should be really good. And there's funds, so funds have sort of poured in from all of the committees have got pots. Jackie Redman, my neighbour, gave me some pots, so we've got about 30 quid in change from the new inn, that was the swear jar, I think. So there's funds in all three of them, which we can put to use, and it's just working out where we go, what we're going to do. We're going to get Will to go and hopefully at some stage cut back a lot of the shrubbery in Blackford, because it's encroaching, so we
yeah,
get
it is.
some limbs off the
I
trees.
must
and
send you
things.
all the safety reports we had last year.
Oh good, lovely, yes
There's
please.
loads of pages
Riveting.
on it.
I need a good
But you
one.
need to, because it tells you stuff to be done on there. So.
Okay, so yeah, so it's positive. So
Really
yeah,
good,
we've
right.
got a meeting coming up soon, and yeah, it's really nice.
Good.
Nice
It's
vibe.
good to see that come
Yeah,
in,
good plan
come
that
to
was,
fruition now. Salk.
Is there a meeting coming up soon? Don't I usually turn up at Somerton or
You
something?
do, I think. There's one coming up, and I'll let you know when it
Yeah,
is.
let me know.
I think it's next month.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Wedmore Play and Fields Management.
They've got a meeting on the
28th,
28th,
isn't it?
7 o'clock, they've changed the
Yeah.
start time to 7.
Okay.
Yep, no.
Okay. Okay. Village Halls. Something short?
Yeah, there was a meeting last night, and you weren't excluded from that, Nan. You know, I think Bill sent out a request for as many people as possible to come to talk about Village Hall. Bill sent that out. He used to be the chairman, and it was very well attended. For that, there's about 9 people there, and it had people in the Village Hall, the Green Man, and the flower show, and the aims was to look at now and the future. The letter was only from the vicar was only brought out that evening because Phil Button was the only one who had it, and I received that this morning, which led to a big problem really, because the church owned the Village Hall. We lease it from the church, we don't pay anything, we maintain it. But we have been discussing about trying to do a lot more. But hold on a minute, if it's only there for 8 years, why would we be talking about a lot more? There's a possibility that the Bagleys and David were there last night, who have kindly always made a fantastic job of the orchard prior to the flower show, which is now there rather than it used to be in the field. And David said last night, he said they're getting on, to quote him exactly, and they may wish to actually bequeath the orchard to field. I don't know whether it be to the village hall or in what respect. But in the light of the possibility of the church closing, what does that mean for the village hall? Nobody really knows. So Phil Butterworth is meeting the vicar in order then to probably meet with the church itself to find out what their plans are. And the current status was looked at by an architect who kindly provided a free report, which I've got a copy of here, and it does talk about you've got big problems with the ground being 500 millimetres above the suspended floor, the air that's been pulled through with fans, which Dave put in years and years ago, has worked up to a certain extent, but there's now black mould peering around the edges, which they typically go where the joists go into the wall. A lot of people, and the future, apart from all the possibilities of great deal of expenses to secondary glazing, which the local architects here have advised on the best system, I can't remember the name of the place, just that's it, thank you. As well as remedial action and big action, like putting in this amazing foam glass, which you can add up to ½ a metre, and it weighs nothing, and it's insulated and waterproof. And the big problem is, if it was concrete, you'd need hundreds of tons and you'd never get it up. Whereas foam glass weighs next to nothing. So this was all mooted. But for the future, Phil Butterworth was very keen to say, why don't we combine all the groups of Theo into one? The Theo Flower Show, the Green Man, which a lot of people speak complimentary about, you drink a lot there, Neil. All these to come under one.
Positively did.
Now, some people found the Theo Flower Show, don't touch it, it's iconic, but Phil said the nature of the Flower Show, as he knows because he does all the entries, is changing. Phil is not going to be the president, the chair anymore. He's done his stint, and we're trying to find another chair. It's not easy. People have said they will do a little bit, and we're trying to keep all three people interested, or Phil is at the moment. But when Phil says that 600 entries are provided by, out of 600 entries, 160 are provided by 2 people who are growers, who are real growers, in the old tradition of the growers. They won't be doing it much longer. There are bigger interests from men who want to make cakes. They bring their cakes. That's a big thing. Art is growing. Children's activities is growing. He said. So the radical situation is that we discussed actually having a Theo Festival. In May, when the Green Man was last year, including applying for a licence, which you can have up to so many a year, rather than one-off nights. This was discussed, and free use of the village hall for under 25, it's only £8 an hour, to try and get people under 25, it's theirs. They do not want to come to us, with all due respect, the chairman had about minutes, this, that and the other matters arising. They don't respond to that, so they just have it. As long as they don't Facebook it and have a rave of 300 people. As a result of that, Bill is meeting certain people. There is the Community Council of Sunset, CCS, which they've got a thing next week, and Bill's going to that. And there is also the locality.org, which Save Our Spaces is an initiative. And you said a couple of months ago there is money for village halls. Well, my ears pricked up when you said there is money for village halls grants somewhere. But maybe if you could.
Nick Avery got in touch with me. I've put him in touch with someone at Satchwell.
That's right. Yeah. But I don't know if it still applies. There used to be the community right to buy. That was under the coalition. And I just found out today it says 2010 to 2015. I don't think it's all over now. But there was. They did do it in Coaxley and stopped the sale of the pound for about a year. Still went through, but the big thing is, this might, if the church is going, what does that mean?
I think you find the hall is ultimately the diocese of Bath and Wells, not just Field Church. I think it's the diocese. I sent Nick Avery a copy of the deeds.
Yeah,
so I got them saved here.
Yeah.
You've got a copy of those now, and I think it is the diocese of Bath and Wells which are the ultimate owners of the hall.
Right.
So they've let it to. You've got trustees, and I think that's the Parish Council. I think we're the trustee of it. Yeah, so if I remember rightly.
Yes.
But it won't be Field Church. Whatever happens to Field Church will have don't have any roads.
Right, well,
I would have thought
okay,
so.
well, I'll pass that because we were sort of.
I think it's a diocese.
Yeah.
Isn't it? The same to do down here at the village hall.
Yeah, so a field festival next summer was a thought, and it might migrate to a summer event rather than September, which some people think is great. And we said June, but they said, I heard about June gap. I heard about June gap last week.
June drop.
June, Gap. You get no vegetables if you get out your freezer in June, apparently. Anyway, so there's no point in having it in June because nobody's got any carrots then. But there's lots of flowers, but. Sorry, that's rather long.
No, that's great. No, that's great.
Okay.
That was very cool, Mr. Chairman. We're going along fine, but we now had the new security, not security, but lights in the car park. But then something to do with the installation, I don't know, but they're trying to get the electricians back because they're on all the time. They're supposed to be.
I think it's to do with the damp. Mine do that, they stay on all the time when it's wet. They won't turn off.
Well, it's because it's the damp in the air causing it rather than the electricity.
We've lost our chairman, but we've got an acting chairman, and who is the secretary, but obviously we're looking for another secretary. But it's not an AGM, and the chairman who is the secretary, the chairman who's taken over from Steve, Steve Boomer, is the present secretary.
Who's that?
Sorry?
Who is that?
Who's
the chair? The acting chair.
That's stupid, I can't remember his name.
Oh, no.
I didn't mean to.
Don't worry.
Secretary.
It's all right, come to you in a minute.
Don't worry.
It's the same with me.
Bring me a minute.
We'll make it up. Yeah.
Right? Is that it, Pete?
Did the village hall get some money from the ale festival? Did I see?
Because I haven't seen the list. I know I was going to say at the end of the meeting, is there any way that the council would be in their rights to congratulate the beer people? Because now the full 7 year, whatever it is, I mean, 200,000 pounds is a lot of money to raise. I just thought it would be, but that's really not relevant in this case. But
Good point.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I haven't seen a breakdown of.
No, they give away 19 grand this year, didn't they?
That's right, isn't it? Yes, and I mean, there's a news item that they raised 200.
It'll be in the papers tomorrow, I would have thought.
210,000 pounds.
They're giving out tonight, wasn't it? So.
We'll see each other on tomorrow.
I've seen a breakdown. Shall I send it to you, Roger?
Okay. 20?
No, nothing.
It's something I didn't mention yesterday, the cluster meeting that we went to. Emily and I went down to the cluster meeting last Tuesday. And there were three topics. There was the commercial update, and they were telling us about this £50 million fund that they have investing in commercial properties. The retail park in Street, there's a TK Maxx on the High Street in Worcester, and Apple Green petrol station in Hallfield, Bristol.
That was the last one, that was their latest, wasn't
Yeah, and this, that sort of comes about just over 18 million and over 1.2 million in annual rent from this. So they're continuing to do this. This is purely investment income. This isn't anything to do with the regeneration scheme. And then there was the budget update, which was a little bit dry, as budget updates are. But there was something that I thought you might be interested to know, and you know, people wonder where the money goes in Sedgemoor. 21% of Sedgemoor's council tax goes to the drainage board. And they have 21% of Sedgemoor's council tax goes to the drainage board, and they have no option but to pay for that. There is no option. The drainage board tell them how much to pay, and they pay. So I just thought.
Well, that's why they have us district councillors on the drainage board, so we are there to say, hang on a minute, you can't just put it up without referring to us. Because otherwise they're good.
Yes.
But it's equally, they do a very good job with drainage board.
It's interesting to realise that because we live in this wet area, a lot of our council tax goes to maintaining the landscape.
Yeah, waterways, yeah.
well then there was Nick Grove, was the Somerset Waste Partnership. He really is inspirational, unbelievable. And Viridor, together with Somerset Waste Partnership, Viridor are building a new plastics generator. It is enormous.
A plastics generator?
Yes, to burn the
Oh,
plastic.
oh, right, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
to generate electricity.
Oh, yes, yes.
Energy.
That's Avonmouth, isn't it?
Yes, in Avonmouth.
Yeah.
And they reckon that 91% from, that's what they're aiming on, from curb will go to be recycled. This is of the biomass energy, because that's what they're doing. They're already doing that. And also Somerset's ranked in the top 10 in the UK. And then there was, and they're rolling it out, as you said, but it's going to have to be hand in hand with getting the recycling centres up and running, and a whole fleet of new recycling vehicles. He was very excited about it, and it was very well received. There were lots and lots of questions.
Yeah.
They almost had to cut the meeting short because there were just so many questions. And then there was about the highways. They were talking about their new fleet of buses. These shiny, beautiful buses that they have now, Somerset County Council.
Low emission.
Low emission buses.
But won't pick the
But
children
they
up.
pick the children up.
That's where they're
And apparently these, they've actually, other companies, other bus companies have started taking them seriously as a provider, because they've got, is it six of these brand new buses?
Yeah, fine.
Five, was it? Yeah. And Emily, you asked them, didn't you, about MC expensive school buses? But it was really good.
Excellent.
Best one I've ever been to.
Cool. Okay, item 16. Any matters to report on items for the next meeting? Currently nothing from me. Anything from you, Bob?
Chairman, no, thank you.
Members? Anything?
Yeah, just that.
Just a few
groups
sexy
of
stuff.
stuff. And all the things that go with it, yeah.
And Pete Brown will be coming next week and ask for some more money to complete the pavilion and that.
Can we talk about SIL at the next meeting? You said what SIL can help do, or are you just going to send that out?
By all means, yes. I'm going to try to come.